Welcome to Broadability. In this episode, we're going to showcase the Caribbean paradise of Bocas del Toro, Panama. We're going to discuss why it's a great tourist and expat destination, how to get there, why these wings made me cry as I thought about my ancestors, and why this truly prevented me from blogging while there. Bocas del Toro caught my eye as a potential place to live. Let's see if it'll catch yours. Let's go. Bocas del Toro is located on the northern Caribbean side of Panama. Parts of this province are on the mainland of the country as well as being comprised of islands. There are 9 inhabited islands and around 300 tiny islets. If you're looking for some isolation and love Caribbean waters, parts of Bocas del Toro might be for you. Bocas is known for being one of Panama's popular surfing spots, and I can see why. Besides surfing, you can also take day trips to other islands, see sloths, starfish, and dolphins to boot. Bocas del Toro is known for its coral reefs and biological diversity, and it even has some ecotourism options. I can see why certain expats choose to live in Bocas. You can look at turquoise water while simultaneously being surrounded by lush forests. It's laid back, parts are isolated, and if you love water, well, this footage speaks for itself. Depending on what part of Bocas you're going to, you can get there by car, ferry, plane, bus, or water taxi. The cost for airfare from Panama City ranges, but you can get a one-way ticket for around $100 for an hour flight. The ferry with your car can cost around $45, and a bus ride from the Albrook Mall in Panama City can cost you around $35. Depending on where you're going in Bocas, you might need a water taxi from Almirante. It should cost you around $5 or less. Upon landing in the airport right outside the terminal, you can catch a taxi. They might cram you in and all of your bags into it for $2 to $3 each. Let the party begin. This set the tone for the trip. I basically had no idea what was happening and was along just for the ride. The van makes stops at various hotels for the taxi passengers. I felt like I was transported to a Caribbean island and was no longer in Panama. The colors, the sounds, the vibe, the way of life, it was familiar to my soul, and I was at peace. Speaking of my soul, this was a personal trip for me. My grandmother and her sister were both from Panama, and although this was my 3rd time visiting this country, it was my first time visiting with the eyes of can I live here. I saw these wings while roaming around and knew I had to take a certain picture with them. I felt like my ancestors were watching over me during this exploratory expat trip. I have returned. Bocas del Toro is just what the doctor ordered after a weekend lockdown in Panama City. Although Bocas was not fully open when we visited, you can get an idea of how bustling it must be under normal circumstances and how many people would be there just enjoying all that it has to offer. That said, I'd want to visit Bocas during normal times to see if I still feel the same way about it. I think I will. Either way, I'll be visiting this part of Panama quite often. You can find accommodations like Hotel Bocas, which has a nautical theme constructed with various types of wood. You can tell a lot of pride and care was given to its details. What I liked about Bocas is on the main island, there were a bunch of boutique accommodations that included over-the-water villas or right-on-the-water rooms. It keeps the island charm alive by not seeing major hotels on the waterfront. Restaurants and bars line the streets and the waterfront. I can easily see how people can go bar hopping here. I, on the other hand, went food hopping and was stuffed to the gills. Speaking of gills, the red snapper has me as a repeat customer. I ate there 2 times in less than 3 days, and to be honest, I'm craving it right now. This entire meal for 3 people only cost $38. They did not sponsor this, it was just that good, and I'm picky with my fried snapper. Like, really picky? Cafe Del Mar is across the street from Tropical Sweets and saw me several times for breakfast. I loved their omelets, and the staff there were extremely friendly, welcoming, and were good conversationalists, and they entertained my blossoming Spanglish. There are various modes of transportation here: taxi, cars, walking, biking, or water taxi. Oh, and I've seen golf carts as well. Not sure if those are for tourists or not. You can just hail down a taxi in the middle of the street. You might share it with a stranger and make a few stops, but for a couple of dollars, who really cares? Okay, some people will care. Now, having cerebral palsy, I was scoping out Bocas for its accessibility, and this place is not accommodating if you have mobility issues. You might have trouble getting in and out of water taxis, but people will help you. For example, when we took a day trip to another island, there wasn't a dock or a ladder, so I had to get back into the boat but first. You heard me correctly, but first. Okay, so I didn't think that went through. Sometimes I just go with the flow and have to laugh at myself. I'm just glad nobody was there with a video camera. They have some ramps, but not all can be used if you're in a wheelchair because of their constructed angle. Some appear to possibly be for deliveries. Not all of the stairs have railings, and some sidewalks and streets are crumbling. I was able to get around, but it was noted. And that is why I didn't truly vlog on Panama. I wasn't trying to test their healthcare system on this trip. I would have fallen, like hard. And I kind of like my face and my teeth. Tee-hee. There are a few general small grocery stores and a pharmacy on the main island, as well as some gourmet places. You may not be able to find everything that you're accustomed to, but you can find what you need, in my opinion. The tropical paradise of Bocas del Toro, Panama did wonders for my soul and has a piece of my heart, and here's why.